Sensationalizing. Why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community.
They don't want a fraud unit to do anything. They want a fraud unit on paper.
Halicki was fired in 2013 while in the midst of a big investigation.
This is a cover-up. This is a deliberate attempt by the officials in Hennepin County to deceive the taxpayers.
Sometimes they would come in, sign their children in, sign themselves in, and go grocery shopping.
Our sources say the more children a woman had to enroll in childcare, the more she'd make per hour.
How you doing, man?
I just want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making good money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No, I'm
For
not.
instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation Company 607?
1 second.
It's not there. How you doing, man?
I just want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Why are you sensationalizing the propaganda?
What are we sensationalizing?
To attack our community. What's your final objective?
We're not attacking your community by any means.
Are you making good money from this?
We're looking for fraud.
No, I'm
For
not.
instance, can you answer our question? Where's Safari Transportation?
So you notice right there, he's not really answering the question of the fraud. It's a very emotional reaction. Why you're sensationalizing. Either there's fraud or there isn't. They don't want to attack the argument. They just want to attack the person, build this emotional barrier so they can sit there and pretend to be innocent when they're not addressing the problem, the argument. Is there fraud or is there not fraud?
Company 607.
1 second.
It's not there.
How much money are you? How much money are you? How much money are you making?
Dreamline Security.
How much money are you
I
making
make
off
money
of
off
this?
of YouTube. That's how I make my money.
Exactly. So you're making money off of sensationalizing.
That's my job.
And attacking the Somali community.
I'm not attacking you guys. We're asking.
I'll tell you the reason why this is happening. All right. Let me tell you the reason why you're attacking
fraud,
this.
Correct?
Yes.
This has nothing to do with race. This is fraud.
This is absolutely has to do with us being Muslim.
No, it does not.
All right, and us being from Africa. This is a constitutional argument.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. This person that's talking to Nick T is full of emotion, and he's basically defending fraud because he's not really answering the question. Is there fraud or not? That's the issue. That's why he's there. That's why a lot of people are there now. At this point in this situation, it seems like there's a culture of fraud, a culture where they knew they can come to Minnesota and just steal a bunch of money, taxpayer money, and no one's gonna do anything about it. And now someone is actually doing something about it. And we'll show later on that there's been history of news reports. Good people in Minnesota have been talking about this for years. And finally enough attention is brought to it, and this is the result. People are using this as a way to attack the person instead of attacking the argument.
If you don't want us here, change the freedom of religion. Say, listen, we don't want Muslims in this country anymore.
We're not saying
No.
We're
Because when I go onto your comments, when I go onto your comments,
My comments
what
are
I see
free.
is people that say we do not want Muslims here. Kick every single Muslim in Minnesota out of Minnesota.
That's a comment.
You are.
As a creator, there's gonna be a lot of comments, especially the more popular you are. You're gonna see some people say some wild stuff. But the cool thing you can do, you can block them. You don't have to see those comments. There're gonna be some people who are gonna say some wild stuff. You don't have to look at it. In any YouTube video, especially when there's a very emotional, controversial topic, there are people who are gonna say outrageous things. Is it majority of the comments? No. But you can block them, you can mute them. You don't have to have them in your timeline. But to say that the comments or reflect the person that is creating a video is ridiculous. It's not true.
Listen, you're preparing for the Somali community to maybe be taken to concentration camps. Just like the Japanese community, all right? You're sensationalizing.
No, we're not.
All right,
Sir,
something that
answer
can
the
listen.
question. Where-
That's something that
where
can
is the transportation
something that
vehicle
can
company?
jeopardize
Answer the
the
question.
safety and the protection of the
This is
Somali
fraud.
community.
We're talking
If
about
anything
fraud, sir.
happens to the Somali
We're talking
community,
about
listen,
fraud.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not physically touching
You're
you.
getting very close.
I'm not physically
You're
touching
very
you.
close.
No, I'm not physically touching you.
This is fraud.
What
We're
you're
talking about
doing,
fraud.
what you're
defending
doing,
fraud.
when I go into your comments,
you're defending fraud.
people who hate Muslims, who
People
want us
can-
out of here
people can say
for
what they
being
want. I'm not
Muslim,
censoring
are
anybody.
using your material. Islamophobes use your material. People who hate Islam use your material.
He's not answering the question, so now he's getting really, really emotional. And that's unfortunate when you can't really have a civil conversation with someone that becomes so emotional. Really, you just ignore them at this point because there is no real conversation being had here.
Say to us, we don't want you here. Change the Constitution. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Guess what?
Say it. We're asking about
You
fraud.
know, what
We're
you
asking
do,
about fraud.
you hate Muslims.
I'm not saying I hate
You
Muslims.
hate,
We're
you know
talking
you
about
hate
fraud.
Muslims.
We're talking
Why are
about
you
fraud.
attacking us? Are we the only community that suffers because of fraud?
We're talking about
Are we
fraud.
the only community that does fraud? Are we the only community that does this?
This is about fraud.
All right, but there's what, 300 Somali providers in all of Minnesota?
There's actually.
I'm not. Don't touch me.
talking.
Is there like,
Don't go close.
do you speak English? Right? Your security doesn't even speak English. Listen, let me tell you something.
See, this isn't a race
Listen,
issue,
listen,
sir.
listen. Let me
This
say
is about
something.
fraud.
We have what, 1,000 providers?
Yeah, you guys have a.
Even it's 2,000 providers.
Okay,
You
sir.
want to sacrifice the safety of
Sir.
80,000 people
We're not
because of fucking 2,000 providers? Are you fucking mad? Are you stupid?
I'm not stupid.
You're sensationalizing. What about if a mass shooting happens in Minnesota? It will be because of you. It will be because of you.
So notice what didn't happen. No one answered a question, a single question about money. No one explained empty buildings. No one explained these licenses. Instead, it instantly turns into you're racist, you're attacking the community, you're putting people in danger. That's not an accident. That's a shutdown tactic. Because once the conversation becomes about race and fear, the fraud question disappears.
If any Somali gets hurt in Minnesota, it's because of Nick fucking Shirley. If any Somali, if one single Somali gets hurt,
This is about fraud.
it's because of you. Sensationalizes, you son of a bitch. Sensationalizes.
Wow, you're
Get the
very
fuck
nice.
out of our neighborhood.
Very nice.
Get the fuck out of our
Sir,
neighborhood.
Can you tell me where the
Get the
transportation
fuck
comes
out of
in?
our neighborhood. We don't want you here.
Oh, your neighborhood.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Calm down, sir.
Get the fuck out of here. You want to sensationalize? You want to clicks? You got clicks. You want clicks? You got clicks. You wanted clicks? You wanted YouTube? You wanted YouTube clicks? You got YouTube clicks. Now get the fuck out of our community.
Tell me where the
Get the
transportation
fuck out of our community.
Tell me where the.
You stupid racist motherfucker. Say I don't want Muslims here. Say I don't want Muslims here. Say it. Say I want to change the Constitution.
No, I don't
and I want to change freedom of religion. And I don't want Muslim Somalis in Minnesota. Kick them out. I was born in this country. You have to take the passport away from me. That is what you are arguing for. Change the Constitution. Man. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my community. Get the fuck out of our community. Get the fuck out of our community. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Stupid fucking idiot.
You need to go lay down somewhere. That did not help. Not help the situation. Did not really help your cause. And yes, you will be helping people get a lot of clicks and views because you basically crashed out on this situation here and you didn't help at all. And it shows that when confronted with fraud, there are people willing to lose their damn minds instead of actually answering the fraud allegations.
Federal officials now say they're freezing payments to Minnesota child care centers while they investigate claims of fraud. Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill posting on social media today, "We have turned off the money spigot and we are finding the fraud." The Health and Human Services leaders also posted a video outlining new steps targeting what they call rampant fraud in Minnesota.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants.
Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment.
HHS leaders say they're also ordering a state audit of centers suspected of fraud, including attendance records, licenses, and inspections, among other records.
So this is Quality Learning Center.
As of Tuesday, that sign now reads Quality Learning Center. After watching a man go inside, we walked up to the door and knocked. No answer. A sign says the center opens at 2 in the afternoon.
I'm not on the driveway. It's public property.
A man in the park.
2 in the afternoon. Anyone who has kids, have you ever seen a daycare where it started at 2 in the afternoon? The problem is with a lot of this fraud is too many people are watching now, and you're not going to be able to just do whatever you want and just blatantly make stuff up and blatantly be fraudulent. Most daycares are not opening at 2 in the afternoon. It doesn't make any sense. It's beyond ridiculous at this point.
Parking lot telling us and anyone else nearby to stay back.
Yeah, I take my kids here, 2 o'clock to 10.
Fatima Noor dropped her 3 kids off for daycare, saying that's typical for her 4 days of the week.
Monday to Thursday.
But how many years, like for how long?
For October to now.
That woman was not telling the truth. Look at her eyes. She's been told to say that. I mean, come on. Why would someone drop off their kids at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Well, wait. She looked the way I look if my wife asked me, hey, Hannibal, did you buy a whole pizza from Domino's after we had dinner and I went to sleep? And my eyes went, yeah, no, I didn't do that at all. No, that pizza was from earlier in the day. That box was just old. Like, come on. No one believes you, ma'am. No one believes you.
After state officials said Quality Learning Center had closed a week ago. They haven't responded to questions from WCCO about it being open now, but say visits were being made to each of the centers on Monday, and payments are still on.
For the current child care centers that have been named in the video, we have not paused. There isn't a current pause on any of the payments.
But mind you, she said earlier the Quality Learning Center was supposed to be closed. She said it was closed a week ago or something like that. And then you realize that it's still open. This is a collection of extremely incompetent and corrupt officials that is running Minnesota. They think that this is just normal. They think this is okay. And that's why so many people are saying, no, it's not okay. Many people across that state and across the country have a big problem with what's going on right now. And this right here explains why this story survived for so long. Not because no one noticed. If you've been following this channel for a couple of days, you already know what's going on. Daycare fraud, welfare fraud, taxpayer money being taken away. But what most people don't realize is how far back this goes. This does not start with Nick Shirley. This goes back many, many years. 10 years, in fact. And just yesterday, I give props to the Fox 9 Minneapolis St. Paul. They reposted their old investigations on YouTube from 2013. This is not opinions or even commentary. This is real reporting that they were doing. So we're gonna check out those videos because they're extremely important. They prove that good people in Minnesota did try to expose this a long time ago and they were being stopped. And you'll see the same patterns. Empty buildings, fake enrollments, millions paid out anyway.
It started with an anonymous tip to the Fox 9 investigators, and it led us to a story that took 3 months of digging to uncover.
Tonight, Jeff Valiant exposes a business that some of its own employees say is...
It started with an anonymous tip to the Fox 9 investigators, and it led us to a story that took 3 months of digging to uncover.
Tonight, Jeff Valiant exposes a business that some of its own employees say is misusing millions of taxpayer dollars.
They made their move before the crack of dawn, targeting child care centers in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Apple Valley, seizing computers and boxloads of documents as part of a massive fraud investigation. The raid included agents from the FBI, State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and the Ramsey County Attorney's Fraud Unit. It went down, coincidentally, as the Fox 9 investigators were in the middle of our own probe of the same business.
It's not difficult to see a pattern of what's going on here.
What is going on?
It's terrible how it's misused.
We spent 3 months digging through records, doing surveillance, talking with insiders.
It's big. It's bigger than I think the state realizes.
To expose a scheme that's costing tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars a week.
Absolutely insane. FBI raids, seized computers, millions of dollars involved, and yet very few prosecutions. A lot of ongoing investigations. Let's talk about how this fraud operation actually worked, because this is the part that makes it so disturbing. The money didn't just move in some complicated, genius way. It was simple. Daycare operators would claim that they were caring for dozens of children who were never there. Some locations were barely staffed, some rooms were empty, some buildings were locked, but on paper they were full. Every enrolled child meant state and federal dollars. The more names on the list, the more money came in. And once the money started flowing in, the operation didn't slow down, it just scaled up. New locations, new paperwork, same addresses, same families being recycled through the system.
It's a lot of work and you have to make sure that, everything is following the rules.
Yasmin Ali is the owner of Deco Family Centers. This is her giving a tour to an undercover Fox 9 producer.
A lot of people that we work with are low-income families.
Ali tells our producer that many of her customers are on assistance. They qualify to have the government pay for their kids' child care. They can get that help if they're working, training for a job, or hunting for one.
I think it's doing a disservice to the people that truly do need child care assistance.
We interviewed 4 DECO employees who have intimate knowledge of the operation. They've also shared information with government fraud investigators.
So they were misrepresenting a lot of what was going on there.
Exactly.
According to our sources, DECO was actively recruiting women who qualify for child care assistance and offering them jobs at the centers, some to watch their own kids. A fact these moms confirmed to us.
Hello. Do you work here?
Yeah.
You do? How many children do you have? 2. And the children come here as well?
Yeah.
Who pays for their child care?
The child care money?
Yes.
The county.
And the brazen part about all this, they didn't even bother hiding it. These places stayed licensed despite violations. Payments continued despite red flags. Investigators dragged on for years with no real consequences. So you ask yourself, how does a fraud scheme stay alive this long? It happens because oversight is weak, when audits are slow, when shutting something down creates political problems no one wants to deal with. It happens when investigators get ignored, when whistleblowers get pushed out, and when questioning the system becomes more dangerous than exploiting it.
DECO then bills the county for child care while the moms are supposedly working.
Were these legitimate jobs or not?
No, there were too many that were being hired. We didn't even need that many.
Our informants tell us that only a small percentage of the moms did anything.
2%. 2%.
Did some kind of work.
Did some kind of work. Sometimes they would come in, sign their children in, sign themselves in, and go grocery shopping.
Our sources say the more children a woman had to enroll in child care, the more she'd make per hour. According to government records, DECO's Minneapolis and St. Paul centers were each eligible to receive nearly $50,000 in child care assistance funds every 2 weeks. Do the math. That's over $2 million a year.
DECO was also getting public money for kids' meals. The Minneapolis Center got nearly $90,000 for food in its first year of operation. This place did the catering. It's owned by Yasmin Ali's brothers.
And think about it, who wants to snitch? Most of these mothers, their only means of income is bringing their kids to the centers, signing up and getting paid to work. Even though they're not working, they're out shopping.
How significant is this problem?
Massive.
Steve Halicki spent 15 years as a welfare fraud investigator for Hennepin County. He came to us to grind an axe.
They don't want a fraud unit to do anything. They want a fraud unit on paper.
Halicki was fired in 2013 while in the midst of a big investigation. The county claims he was an insubordinate bully whose tactics were hampering efforts to catch welfare cheats.
They don't want to point fingers at various organizations and people. This is nothing but a giant cover-up.
These issues go way beyond Tim Walz, right? Tim Walz was not the governor back in 2013. This is a culture where people in the community were able to take away all this taxpayer money. There were good Minnesotans out there. And props to Fox for bringing this video out, demonstrating that they've been doing this for a while. They were there, they made the reports, but no one did anything about it. And we're seeing now that this runs so deep in Minnesota that finally something is being done about it.
Driving down the street, I have no idea.
Halicki contacted the Fox 9 investigators after seeing our series of reports on DECO daycare centers. We uncovered evidence the company was collecting millions in public subsidies for providing bogus child care services to low-income families.
In essence, this scheme was really involved creating a criminal enterprise.
In December, Ramsey County charged DECO's owner with fraud.
The daycares that I'm going to be showing you from this point on all bill over $100,000 a month.
Halicki says before he was fired, he was tracking a similar scheme in Hennepin County involving multiple child care centers. He offered to take us on a driving tour to show what he'd uncovered.
What does this one say on the door?
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There are no lights on.
This building is housing its third daycare center in as many years.
They just got a new license.
The 2 previous daycares had their public subsidies stopped by the county because of billing irregularities.
Hour after hour, I would sit here and document nothing.
Halicki discovered one center was charging the county for kids who were never dropped off.
See those double doors over there?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a daycare center. You wouldn't know it from this.
He took us to center after center that had no sign outside to indicate it was a daycare. When we knocked on the doors during posted business hours, no one answered.
If you're driving down the street, would you even know this was a daycare center?
Probably not.
Yet each location has a state license to operate,
But there's nobody in there right now.
and is eligible to collect child care subsidies to serve low-income families.
I mean, that's blacked out up there, so you can't even tell when the lights are on or off.
So this also goes to show that there are many people who are criticizing Nick Shirley, criticizing, I guess, the tactics and investigations. This has been happening for so long. So mind you, many people that's in Minnesota are not trying to say that Nick Shirley is racist or Islamophobic. It's always the people who are outside or that not following the story. They didn't research anything. They have no idea what they're talking about. And they think that there's some justifiable reasons why there were no kids shown in that video at all. There were no kids to photograph or document. They didn't happen because this is a long-standing strategy for fraud. There weren't no kids. They just make the centers, bill the state, and the state gives them the taxpayer money.
Do that.
So you can't prove when they're working and when they're not. You could be billing till 11 o'clock at night, but they gone home, 6 hours earlier.
Each of the centers he took us to had their windows mysteriously covered.
Why block them off? What are you afraid of? The truth?
Protect the kids' identities.
Okay, then why don't the legitimate daycares block them off?
Just because they look suspicious doesn't mean they're up to no good. So we checked state inspection records for each of the centers on Halicki's tour. They've all been cited for licensing violations, the kind that are red flags to the state's Department of Human Services.
Cover-up. This is a deliberate attempt by the officials in Hennepin County to deceive the taxpayers. I have emails, I have documents, I have everything to prove they knew, and they looked the other way.
Here's an email he sent to the supervisor of the fraud unit. The goal was to stop the bleeding as quickly as possible and protect taxpayer money from going out the door. Now you want to stop the process? I know you're motivated and rightly concerned, she responds. Let's get a plan together to tackle these centers.
I don't think we would ever intentionally try to deceive the public.
County officials say they take all cases of alleged daycare fraud seriously.
He says they don't want to point fingers at various organizations and people. This is nothing but a giant cover-up.
Our focus is really primarily on prevention, but certainly we investigate and take action and work with our county attorney's office whenever there is actual fraud that has occurred.
In the 2 years,
you can really tell from that individual, in my opinion, didn't seem honest just by responding. The weird eyes shifting. Clearly there is the agenda to stop certain groups from being prosecuted.
Since Halicki was fired, not one case has been prosecuted by the county. We found most counties in the metro aren't investigating daycare center fraud. They're handing those cases off to a special team with the Department of Human Services that ramped up more than a year ago.
Public's wondering, what's taking you guys so long?
Nobody is more frustrated with the amount of time it's taking than we are. We really want to get through these and get some of these completed.
We're told the state has nearly a dozen active investigations underway. Steve Halicki believes there are probably a lot more to pursue.
This cannot go on. We need to stop this immediately.
Halicki says he's going public with this information because he wants to clear his name. He did appeal his firing from the Hennepin County Fraud Unit, but an arbitrator upheld the county's decision to let him go.
And do you see why that this situation never got fixed in the first place? When you hear from this fraud investigator, they didn't really want a fraud unit that actually did anything. And remember, this is back in 2013. This is the part that people need to sit with. Because this wasn't some blogger or random commentator, wasn't a YouTuber saying this. This was someone inside the system, someone whose whole job was to investigate fraud, openly admitting that the system did not want real enforcement. What they wanted was a fraud unit on paper, something that looks good in reports, something that you could point to when the public start asking questions, but not something that actually shuts the money off. That tells you how this kind of operation survives. If the people tasked with stopping fraud are discouraged from digging too deep, then the fraud doesn't just continue, it gets comfortable. It starts to thrive. And when daycare centers realize that there's no real consequences, the behavior becomes brazen. Empty buildings are gonna stay licensed, so who cares? Fake enrollments stay on the books. The payments keep coming. So when people say, why didn't anyone catch this? They did. The better question is, Why didn't anyone act? This fraud didn't survive to where we are right now because it was cleverly hidden. It survived because it was tolerated. It was ignored, and questioning it came with consequences. So this story is how long it's been known and how hard it's been to talk about. And now that people are finally paying attention, they want to change the subject. They want to call people racist, call people zombophobe. That should tell you everything about the fraud that's happening in Minnesota. Let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
The assassination attempt. At this point, we've seen so many different clips, but another clip came out today. I'll show you this one as well. I don't know if you've seen this one that came out today with the cops walking around knowing minutes before, and then you hear the shooting. We heard ta-ta-ta, 3, then ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, the 5, and then the last bullet that we hear. Just open-ended question to you from having been in this space, 50 plus years you've been in this space. You've been serving since you were 1972. You're born March 10th, 1954. So you've been in this business for what, 51, 52 years, give or take?
52 years last week.
52, congratulations to you. Thank you for your service. Open-ended, what are your thoughts? When you saw the assassination attempt, Secret Service, them getting up, all the different stories coming out, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first and foremost, you must understand that I have been the guy who told a SWAT team, you have the green light, shoot. So
the airdrop is coming.
I have been the one that ordered people shot by a SWAT team.
Can you be specific? When was that? What was the situation?
Oh my goodness, it's been more than once. But one time a man went into a restaurant in Fort Meade and shot it's been 35 years ago, and he killed 1 or 2 people and shot a couple more, and then he took hostages. And then he shot at us after we got there. We tried to take him peacefully into custody. That's not what he wanted, so we shot him graveyard dead. That was his choice. So I've been there and done that. When I saw the very first television interview of the shooting of President Trump, I knew immediately they'd screwed it up. Because regardless of what else happened, regardless of the different media perspectives, and they were just talking to whoever, the mere fact that they didn't have someone on the roof of a building 148 yards to the lectern where the president's speaking is raw insanity. That's not just a failure. That's raw insanity. There's also a water tower that you don't have to be on that water tower as long as no one else is on it and you've got somebody at the base of the water tower. Now, as time goes on, there's failure after failure after failure after failure. But when you put political people in charge of professional law enforcement agencies, you get political decisions instead of professional law enforcement decisions. Well, I can tell you, wake up, America. The public doesn't want political decisions when it comes to saving lives. They want professional decisions, and that's what saves lives.
Unpack that if you could.
Well, first,
political decisions.
Political decisions is you've put somebody in charge of the Secret Service. They're a political appointment. Where did they come from? What was their background? Did they have the ability to do that job? And the job is at that level. You're not going to go out there and train, but you're going to say, let me see the training curriculum. I know for a fact, following the rules, the Secret Service is well-versed, and I underscore, of doing the appropriate security on an event like that. So what happened that day? Where did the failure start? Well, first and foremost, it started at the very top when she started dancing around and not publicly saying, hey, listen, there's a full-throated investigation underway, and I can tell you, if I know nothing else, we've had mistakes occur because no one was on the roof securing it. And we, in our county, have worked with Secret Service over and over and over again. They're remarkably professional, and there's never been a time when we wouldn't have somebody on that roof. So when you've got an appointed person that's the CEO, if you will, of the Secret Service, And they don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, when you have the President of the United States or the past President of the United States or potentially the future President of the United States that you are providing security for, you have to make sure you've done everything exactly correct. And they didn't.
Okay, so October 12, 2016, if I'm not mistaken, President Trump came and gave a speech in 2016 at Lakeland, which is 25 miles away from Polk County. Were you on that? Were you working on that event or no?
Lakeland is in our county.
So were you on that?
I personally wasn't, but our people would have been
Your
on
people
that.
were. Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect. So 2016, he's coming in. He's not president yet. Or was he president already? October, no, he was not president
He was
yet,
not
right?
president.
So he's campaigning, and that's October 12th. That's 2-3 weeks before. So it's like peak of intensity. Him and Hillary are going back and forth. So that's your county.
Yes.
You were not there. What is the protocol of Secret Service collaborating with local SWAT, local police department? How does that relationship work out?
Yes. My SWAT team was there.
Okay.
My detail was there. Whatever the Secret Service asked for, the Lakeland Police detail was there. We meet with Secret Service in advance. They send advance teams in. The president, as we know, who was then running for president, met at the airport. So the Secret Service is in charge of all of that, and they tell us, okay, we'll take this position, you take this position. They go so far, and I was just talking about my SWAT commander who's been on some of these. Hey, if you're on this roof, don't take your rifle because we've got rifles over here, and we don't want the crossfire with high-powered rifles. You use your handgun. So the Secret Service comes down to the training and the prep to tell you what kind of gun to have depending on your assignment in these particular areas. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, they're very good at that. So for that to be a total flop, you've got to say, where did the problem begin? It always ends with the CEO. And why didn't she immediately fly there that day and start immediately taking control of that situation and getting answers? Why didn't she do that? The only one that can answer that is her. But what happens in traditional police environment, the first thing they do is find a hole to dive in. And while they're diving in the hole, they think, well, who all can I blame this on? Well, the reality of it is that doesn't work. No one is perfect. No matter how well that protocol went that day, something can go bad. People understand when you take responsibility and you make immediate improvements, or when you mess something up, say, we messed this up, and we didn't see any of that in the beginning because that's not how the federal government operates.
Okay, so you're saying when the Secret Service comes, they'll have a communication with the local police department
Absolutely.
and SWAT. And at the time, the director of Secret Service in 2016 was Joseph Clancy, who was appointed by Obama, I believe. So it's not like he's a conservative guy that was appointed, but he stayed on from Trump as well a little bit, and then he replaced him. This is what the local SWAT team just said when they were interviewed by ABC, Sheriff Judd, and they asked them, did the Secret Service reach out to speak to you, SWAT? Here's the answer they gave. And again, this isn't Fox News. This is ABC. Go for it.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
Wow. And by then?
It was too late.
How do you process this?
That's a failure with a capital F. And here's what I know. Our team does prep in advance, and our team is simply the very best. Secret Service is the very best. I've never been involved with a Secret Service and a Secret Service operation that we didn't have conversations down to the absolute minutia.
Can you be specific with that?
Well, exactly. Like which guns do you carry for this particular assignment? Okay, the feds have one radio system. We have a different radio system. We have a radio system that statewide and local, all our local agencies can talk. But if the feds have a separate system, then we marry our locals with the feds. So we always have Fed communications, and they always have our communications. Every time, all the time. That's why this stuff that I'm watching on television, it's like, wait a minute. We couldn't have all brought our favorite 2 bottles of wine and made up this horror story with pencil and paper if we wanted to create the worst nightmare. So I don't understand all of that because we always communicate with Secret Service. It's a mandate. And in my organization, if Secret Service didn't talk to us like we know they should, that would bubble up to the top, to me. I'd pick the phone up and I'd call the big bosses at Secret Service and go, what the heck? But we've never had that conversation. We've never had to have that conversation.
So you're putting a little bit of the onus on Butler as well. You're not just putting it on Secret Service.
Every one of them. I'm putting it on all of them. The state police, the county police, the city police, and the Secret Service. If they weren't all talking together, they all had a responsibility. Now, I'll tell you, Butler is a little bitty place. They may not know how all this works.
Got it.
The big guys come in and tell them, you do this, you do that. They do what they're told. But did they? I can't answer that question. But that's why I'm shocked, because the Secret Service, I know, is very professional and does an outstanding job.
So when you say Butler's a little city, it's literally 13,000 people living there. That's just, Rob just pulled it up right there. It's showing 13,000 people living there. But a clip came out this morning. I'm watching this. Cops are running around like confused, right? I don't know if you saw this clip. Cops are running around confused, and you're watching this saying, wait a minute, you know the guy's up there. Why aren't you guys doing anything about it? As the sheriff of Polk County, celebrating 52 years last week, who has had his team, Lakeland, which is in Polk County, deal with the 2016 Trump campaign when he was only an entrepreneur. He wasn't a president yet. Today, he's a former president, and he draws a bigger audience than he did back then. If you were in charge of this operation here, how differently would you have handled it? If I can get your attention on this video, Rob, please play this clip.
That's all we wanted to do. If he was doing the job, I wouldn't even be doing this.
They've already identified he's up there.
Fucking building right now.
There's something going on in this building.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator elected and to make sure
oh my God.
we get back to the White House because we
There's somebody in this building.
and it's not easy because we have millions and millions of people in our country that should be dangerous people. Criminals.
The point of this clip going for 2 minutes is you're hearing him give the speech. While cops are aware, they're running around. People are worried like something's happening. It's about to happen in a few seconds. This is now almost 2 minutes.
My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow.
It's about to happen.
See the big red arrow, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That's the lowest point. That comes right from the government service. Comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. That arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever recorded in the state.
People are panicking.
And then,
Make yourself small, bro. I don't know what's going on.
How many mistakes out of protocol, proper training for an event where the president's coming to town? How many different mistakes and approach you see here?
Well, I haven't found